and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man that has given up on hope and has just drenched himself in a shroud of despair. It's Jonny Numb.
My hands shake as I say these words in podcast form.
You and I are going to act like we are writing into a journal. So I'm gonna write into a journal and narrate it, and then you're gonna write into a journal and narrate it, and that's gonna be this episode.
As you wish, Mark.
So I see that you're a brave man. You went with the barbed wire Drano combination, and I went with the Pepto whiskey combination.
Yeah. Funny names for drinks they have these days. Yeah.
Man. So all right, this movie, First Reformed. I think it. And thank you for joining me, by the way, man. It's great to have you. Read all of Johnny's stuff. Follow him on Twitter. What is it? 1428 Elm. And read.
I'm actually not writing there anymore, and that's kind of a bit of a story, but I'm still writing at Crash Palace Productions, so there'll be a steady flow of stuff there.
I'll start over.
Okay, whatever. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. I didn't tell anybody really, except for my editor. Yeah, my former editor.
Just before we get into this, just make sure to follow Jonny Numb on Twitter and check out his writing at Crash Palace. You'll find it at crashpalace.com. He writes some of the most introspective, thoughtful, horror and non-horror things you'll ever read, and I hate them.
Well, Mark, I love you like I love my neighbor who voted for Trump right now. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's man, you should read his stuff. Johnny really finds a way to be I don't know, it's good. I like your style a lot. You tie a lot of stuff into kind of you tie everything together really well. You never read a this sucks or this that, and you always tie different movies together. It's always a pleasure to read one of your things. I know when I read it I'm going to get jealous, but in a good way. I don't really have the jealousy bug, but when I read your stuff I'm like, man, that's good. And then,
you're too much, Mark. Stop it.
No, it's too, I'm just going to spend this episode reading his reviews on this. Beautiful stuff. So this movie, I think this really fits with our feel good series that we've done. I mean, The House That Jack Built, Drag Across Concrete, Green Room, and a few others too that have been really popular. What else? We've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, I don't know what number we're up to, but we did L and we did Only God Forgives.
Yeah. Oh, those are some of my favorite episodes. And what makes me really happy is, Green Room's one of my favorite films, let alone horror films of
mine too. Yeah.
Of the last who knows when, but it's doing well. I always thought it was a bit of a niche film, but a lot of people are listening to it, and that makes me really happy. So I hope we're bringing some new people to become fans of Green Room. That would make me. You know what? They need to go back and redo the Blu-ray and make us associate producers. Jonny Numb.
I would gladly add that to my IMDb CV. Yeah. Jeremy
Saulnier, get on it. Do it.
Yeah, we know you're listening, Jeremy. Come on, throw us a bone here. We love your stuff.
How amazing would that be? And then you and I just get Blu-rays on our doorstep by Kurt Russell. He delivers it because he's Santa. And it's just a copy of Green Room, and it says, "Watch the credits." And it spells my name wrong, 2 F's instead of Mark, 1 F, Hoffmeyer, and then it calls you Jonny Numb. But it puts a K in the Numb, which is weird.
Oh, like Knuckle, kind of. Oh, jeez, yeah. I was thinking, Mark, my real last name is commonly mispronounced and misspelled, so yeah.
Yeah. We don't want to let anybody know. Jonny Numb's wanted in 4 states. So.
Yeah, pretty much. The cops can't know where I am. That's why that's why I'm recording this remotely tonight. Yeah.
Yeah. You busted into an old church. You busted into the gift shop of an old church, and you are currently recording.
Mark, I stole all the large and extra large and medium shirts. That's why I'm on the run.
I love that there's only small.
But the ball caps fit all sizes. It's a one size fits all. Yeah.
Yeah. He's not very every time. Okay, I know Ethan Hawke in this movie. He works at this place called First Reformed, and it's made famous because it's 250 years old, and it helped. It was a part of the Underground Railroad, and runaway slaves would hide down there safely, and they would help people. So it's become a kind of a cultural relic, an historical venue. But the problem is there's only about 8 people that go there, and they're stuck with a guy named Toller who can't fix toilets. He doesn't want any help. He's terrible with the inventory, right?
Well, I mean, in that organ that he stalls on fixing, yeah.
Yeah, it just, man. I listen. I know he's a former military chaplain who got this job, but I tell you what, he's falling down the job.
Yeah, when we meet him in the movie, he's certainly not at a good place. Let's say that. And the catalyst that gets the movie going is his commitment to himself to keep a hand printed journal for a year, after which he is going to shred it and turn it to ash, basically set it on fire. And I'm wondering what prompted him to decide to do this in the first place. I know it's a great way to start a movie off, like, because it just kind of, Paul Schrader, who wrote and directed it, kind of establishes what you're going to expect. It's going to be some of these, a lot of these introspective passages where we hear Toller narrating what he's writing in this journal, and sometimes going back and scratching out the words or ripping pages out, if it's something he's ashamed of or whatever, or not proud of.
Yeah. So he's deep in despair.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, he lost his son. He talked his son to go into war. His son died.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as they say in the movie, no couple can survive the passing of their child. So he and his wife split up. Yeah. Now he is in pain. He's peeing blood. He might have cancer, and
Mm-hmm.
he is living this existence. So he's always in the garden. He's never on the marketplace. He's always in the garden. So he's living this very Spartan, monk-esque life. I mean, very much like some of Schrader's other characters. If you think, characters in Schrader's movies, they have some. Well, no, Taxi Driver. He kind of he makes out pretty well. Pickle makes out pretty well, right?
Yeah, I mean, after his sort of self-righteous shooting rampage through the whorehouse, yeah, sure, he does pretty well for himself in the end. Yeah,
it's kind of wild. It's just, but yeah, I mean, bad news for Ethan Hawke in this
Mm-hmm.
movie. But no, I think maybe this journal it's something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think when you are maybe in the pits of despair, you don't even want to get up. You don't want. He has gravestones falling down. He's being told bad jokes. He's kind of going through the motions every day. This seems
Mm-hmm.
like something maybe he doesn't like talking to people. He listens, but he doesn't like talking, and he's not too good at giving advice either. But no. I think maybe this is right. Wait, you were mentoring him, and he shot himself, but
right.
But that was a low blow too at that diner. But
yeah.
Do you just think?
Go ahead.
No, you got it.
No, the way information comes out in this movie at really kind of, I don't, it's not cringeworthy like an episode of The Office is cringeworthy, but there is this certain like, sting, the way people kind of like turn certain things around. Like when he says something, that scene where they're at the diner and the obviously sleazy industrialist he's like, oh yeah, the apple pie is great. It's organic. It's local. But meanwhile, he's polluting the earth kind of. But Toller says something to him about the earth, and the guy, his name's Ed Balk. He turns it back around on Toller, and it reduces him back to that kind of introverted despair state. And that happens multiple times through this movie too.
You know, there's one really interesting aspect about this movie, and so. So my dad was a Reformed pastor, and so this is first Reformed, the kind of Dutch salvation by grace alone preachings in this. And there's a scene where he's talking to Jeffers, played by Cedric the Entertainer. I love the casting; he's perfect in it.
Oh yeah.
And when Jeffers doesn't like what Toller has to say, Jeffers turns his chair.
Yes.
On him, and that's a form of control. That's a form of. This conversation is done. Nothing you say, I will listen to. So you have this pastor who is grieving. He's lost his son. He's an alcoholic. He might be fatally sick. Who knows what he has? And whenever he tries to open up with things, right, and have a discussion with people, it's pretty interesting too. No one wants to listen to him. Like at the church when he's talking, the kids shut him down.
Oh my gosh, that's another cringe scene. Yeah.
When he's talking to Jeffers, he gets shut down. When he talks to Balk, he gets shut down. He's not really, and he has to he can't really talk to Mary much because he's trying to be there for her. He's trying to be her, a pastor needs a pastor. So he's trying to be that pastor for her. But no one's really listening to him. And I guess Esther, she's cool, but I guess she's trying to fix him more. I guess she wants to fix him, not really listen to him. So it's just a very interesting, there's just so much about communication in this. I mean, this is a Spartanly filmed movie. I think it looks beautiful. I love that. If someone wrote that like a dolly track, like a tracking shot would be almost sinful in this movie.
Oh yeah.
I just love that the there's a lot to it, and it deserves your attention too.
Yeah, I went to see this at my local art house theater when it first came out.
Oh, sure you did.
Yeah. I have an art house theater near me, so yeah.
I have my throne.
Read my reviews for more hoity-toity remarks. Yeah. But no, in any case, I didn't know that about the aspect ratio is what I was getting at.
My bad.
No, it's cool. I start watching the movie and I'm taken aback at first because Schrader does it really interestingly. It's some old calligraphy style font for like the principal cast and the title, and then it slowly fades in to this. Actually, I guess that's probably a dolly shot that's capturing the church at the beginning. But that's probably the only time you actually see that technique used, because it's mostly static shots in this film. I was just kind of like, it kind of conveyed to me that this was going to be something different, something special. I mean, I know the Lighthouse did the same thing with aspect ratio last year, and I thought that worked very well for that film. It gives you a feeling like you're going to go back to, not back in time, but this was how films looked when films were first being exhibited. That was how they looked, was the boxed ratio. And I just think it speaks to kind of like Schrader's sense of more old-fashioned storytelling, I suppose. It's a deceptively simple movie, I think, in terms of the plot, but you start digging into some of the themes, stuff that comes out from the dialogue, stuff that comes out from some of the visuals, like you said, him propping up a toppled tombstone, the attention to like the bleak winter landscape that's just persevering. It's very much Shakespearean in this is the winter of our discontent sense. I really liked that choice on Schrader's part. And I also think it's strategic because there are certain points in the film where I really like how he'll cut certain characters off. Like literally when Balk walks into that diner, we see Toller sitting in the booth. Balk asks to, he's like, can I, sit down? When he sits down, he pushes Toller out of frame. Yeah. So he takes over the frame. In a way, that's kind of another subtle, almost like a subtle assertion of dominance or betterness speaking out through the aesthetic, I think, in a way. So
yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, they really take their time. So he wrote that book in 1972. He wrote a book called Transcendental Style in Film about like Dreyer and different directors who didn't move the camera, who let cameras linger, who, when he first pulls up to Mary's house in the beginning and Michael's house, you see the house, he parks his car, perfectly like symmetrical, but it's not tacky symmetrical, which I enjoy. Some symmetry and centered lines get really showboaty to me. Yeah. This never felt like that. But he gets out of his car, he walks in the door, and he walks inside, and then there's a cut. It's very... It takes you to shots that are longer. Normally, you pull up, you knock on the door, you're in. It's 3 different cuts. So I dig how it takes its time with this movie, and I like the framing of it too. So early on, we have a vast, empty room, and then we see Toller in the room behind it. There's a lot of door frames that separate people. There's shots where he's not in power, so he's in profile, and then you get Jeffers, played by Cedric the Entertainer, directly kind of sitting in front of the camera by the way the chairs are stationed. This isn't an accident. Like, I'm not saying you said it. I just love how, I don't know,